Good morning, everybody on YouTube. This is Rick Thomas from Obsolete Video Services. This is a follow-up video. As you people know, I'm working on an Ampex to Type A video 1-inch machine transfer of 600 videotapes from the early and late 60s, early 70s. As you can see, here's a big stack of tapes which I just got. And I had a couple machines that came with these. This is a VR-7500 color black and white machine. It's seen better days. It looks like this thing was in a barn or something, wherever this stuff came from. Anyways, they ended up destroying parts on the video head, so I kept the machine on the side, but I opened it up to pull the power supply out of this thing because I did plug it in and the thing starts smoking and oh my god, caught on fire. I mean, the power supply was just a mess. So I opened it up and realized every can capacitor on this unit is dried out or leaking really, really bad. So this would have to go through a total restoration of capacitor replacements. That's why I kept this machine. I wouldn't even bother keeping a machine like this, but it's so rare to hard to find. So this one can be fixed. But I did pull the power supply off of this like I showed you in a previous video. You guys might have seen it. So anyways, when capacitors go bad after this period of time, you do have to change them. And if it's something very, very rare, sometimes you have to do a complete restoration. But anyways, you can see all these capacitors are leaking like a sieve. So they're really bad. So I pulled the power supply out of this thing because I figured if I get the donor machine I got coming, it's going to be probably in good shape, but I don't want it to catch on fire. So I decided to pull the power supply on this and rebuild it and just pop it in the new donor machine and have a good start so I don't have any fire going on. And if there's any other issues, recap the entire machine. But anyways, I did pull the power supply, and let me show you what I did today. You guys might be very interested in knowing the other type of work I do. Okay, here you go. Here is the power supply, folks. As you can see, I've got the new electrolytic capacitors on top already installed, the big can capacitors. Those are 400 microfarad by 250. And I also replaced the 5 ohm wire wound resistor, which is a voltage resistor, which was also bad on this thing. Okay, as you guys can see, this power supply, here's the resistor that was on the side. This thing completely burned up because the capacitors were bad and dried out. And let me just show you. These capacitors were leaking like a sieve. They caught on fire. The smoke was just horrendous out of these things, which put the load on the resistor adjacent to it, which actually burnt up the resistor. This is a 5 ohm resistor. So as you can see, we put another 7 watt 5 ohm resistor, wire wound resistor, wattage resistor on, I remounted that one there. I just got that in. Got a whole package of those. So we replaced the resistor. But the can caps I wanted to talk to you guys about. Okay, these are by 180 volts by 400 microfarads. Could not find anything even close to this. This is, especially with this pin configuration, if you notice it's got 5 pins in the way it mounts. These are called can capacitors. These are very difficult to change out and try to replace. Usually you have to bridge capacitors on the board or whatever when you can't find these things. But we were able to find 400 by 250 with an exact match pin configuration on the bottom. So these will work out just fine. This is a 250 volt by 400 microfarads. You always want to keep the same microfarads, but the voltage could be the same or higher. Remember that. If it's 50 volts you need, you could go 75, 100 or more. It doesn't really matter if you can't find the exact cap that will replace the ones that you're replacing. But on this machine, it's an Ampex from 1967. I assume there's going to be a lot of recapping of the machine. I do have a donor machine coming. I plugged this one in and it caught on fire, literally. So I said, I'm going to pull the power supply out because, they're on cards. They slide, if you notice, they slide on pin configurations and you just pop them right in. Very easy to change. So what I did is I placed the orders for the caps for this unit. I just got them replacing. I got one more cap to do. But I just got done doing the resistor and the 2 main voltage caps that's on this thing. This is a relatively new design cap. These don't normally go bad, so I didn't even bother with that one. Or the orange drop. But These caps here are the ones that caught on fire, and it was just, oh, it was just nasty. I mean, the smell was just horrendous. And as you guys know, the whole machine needs to be recapped over there. If I determine which machine is going to be the best machine to work with, you may be doing some serious recapping work here. But anyways, I want to show you some of my work. I don't do anything half-assed, folks. If I'm going to rebuild something, if it's one of a kind, I'm going to do it right. As you can see, all brand new caps. These mount perfectly. They fit. They'll do the job. Replacing this bad resistor, as you can see, this thing totally burnt up. Look at that. The thing caught on fire. And so did these two bad caps. They caught on fire. Anyways, we're going to rebuild this power supply. I'm almost done with it. I'm going to have it on the side. I do have another donor machine coming. And I do not want to risk powering it up if it has the same situation with bad capacitors. So I'm immediately going to change the power supply out with fresh electrolytic components already in it. So if I power it up, it isn't going to burn the machine up. But anyways, this is the power supply for the Ampex VR-7500. This is how far we've gotten on it. And like I said, when you're working on these machines, especially this one that was sitting in a barn, when the capacitors go bad, you're pretty much shit out of luck. You have to recap the machines. I do not bother putting new capacitors in machines unless they're very rare machines like this. Then I'll take the trouble to do it. But I normally don't do that. I'll search out another machine or something like that. But we do have a replacement machine. It looks like cosmetically and various other things, it looks like a way better machine. But I got a very funny feeling the capacitors might be bad on that one as well. That's not no big deal. I'll go through the trouble to recap it. I just like to have a perfectly good working machine. But this is a donor machine I have on the side. We might be able to make two machines. We may be able to build one out of two. I don't know where we're going to go with this yet. But with the videotape collection that I'm going to be working on, this is imperative that this gets done. You got to have a top-of-the-line machine to run these tapes. Due to the fact the archival value of what's going to be found, it's just like a one-shot deal and you're done. But capacitors are always a real big issue. So again, guys, we rebuilt the power supply. As you can see, I don't do anything half-ass. I do it the right way. I search out the right parts. I search out the right things. I want things to work and work right, close to new as possible. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video.